Now, as much as we all complain and let our opinion be known on national politics, it goes without saying that our local elected officials are the ones that affect us directly the most. Tonight's forum will include candidates for Camdenton Alderman, Wards 1 and 3, for Mayor of Osage Beach, and candidates for the Camdenton School Board. With that being said, we applaud you for tuning in and getting involved. Tonight's forum wouldn't be possible without the generosity of our sponsors. Tonight's broadcast live on Lake TV is presented by O'Sullivan Bruce Group, Remax Lake of the Ozarks, Bridal Cave, Rough Water Dock, Central Ozarks Medical Center, LakeExpo.com, the Key Radio Station, and of course, the Lake Area and Camdenton Chamber of Commerce. Now, sit back and get ready for a great night of getting to know the candidates. At this point, I'm honored to turn it over to our moderator for tonight, broadcasting live from the Camdenton Chamber of Commerce, Luke Hagedorn.
Thank you, Will. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2022 Meet the Candidates Forum for the Camdenton R3 School Board, the election to be held on Tuesday, April 5th. This joint forum is a result of a collaborative effort by the Camdenton Area Chamber of Commerce, the Lake Area Chamber of Commerce, and is presented by Lake TV. We welcome all the viewers who are joining us either online or live on Lake TV. 4 candidates have filed for the 2 seats on the board that open annually. We are pleased to have all 4 candidates join us this evening. Matt Burns, John Seward, Jacob Nushi, and Eric Walters. On behalf of Lake TV, the Chambers, and all the voters in Camdenton, in the Camdenton R3 School District, we thank you for your attendance and participation and are looking forward to getting to know each of you a bit better and learn about your thoughts and views on the school district. Before we get started, we do have a few ground rules to cover. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for opening and closing comments and 1 minute to respond to each selected question. We do have a timekeeper and a clock up front. Once the question is completed and the response begins, the clock will start. Please be aware of your time, or I will be obliged to make you aware. If there are no questions or concerns, we will start with our opening comments. Again, each candidate will have 2 minutes. Determined by a random draw, our first speaker will be Mr. Eric Walters.
Thank you very much, Lake TV and Chamber of Commerce, for having this for us this evening. Those of you who don't know, I'm Eric Walters. I'm the current incumbent. I'm running for re-election of this will be a second term for me. My wife is a teacher with the Camdenton School District, or has worked in that capacity for a little while. I have 2 children that have been either here at the district or that are at the district now. Cyrus is a 2nd grader, and my oldest just graduated last year, and he now attends Shore University. Since I've been on the school board, I've took every opportunity I can to be on as many different committees as possible to learn as much about the school as possible. As I first got started in my first term, I didn't know a whole lot about the school. All I knew is I wanted to try and help out as much as I possibly could. I've been on the finance committee because I didn't know a whole lot about our finances to begin with. Then I was able to be on our teacher advisory committee. Through that, I've learned so much from the teachers and the employees of the district. After that, I've been on numerous of our scholarship committees and our grant committees to see what our amazing teachers and our employees are doing in our district. A little bit about my background is I work for a little local distributorship based out of Columbia, but my territory is here at Lake of the Ozarks. I've been a volunteer coach with our varsity, junior varsity, kids youth program for, probably somewhere around the last 12, 13 years. In different capacities, probably the last 15 years. Other than that, I think the voters out there, the people out there, probably have seen me at the board meetings and know what I'm about, I think. I think if you've been to a school board meeting, I think you know where I stand on a lot of this stuff already. I'm here to listen. I feel like that I'm not a politician, but one thing I do like to do is I like to listen, and I like to bring everybody's views in perspective before I make any decisions. And I hope you'll remember that on April the 5th whenever you vote.
Thank you, Eric. Our next speaker will be Mr. John Seward.
Hey, good evening. I'm John Seward, and I'm running for the school board. I'm the veteran in the group. I served the nation in the United States Army, 31 years in uniform, an additional 11 years as a Department of the Army civilian, and I retired in May 2020 with 42 years with the Army. I retired as a brigadier general. I have 2 daughters and a sister who are teachers in the school district. I've got 12 grandchildren who attend school in the district, and they're in every building, preschool through high school, except Hurricane Deck. Because I served in the Army, our 4 daughters went to schools all over the nation in Germany, 13 different school districts. So I have a broad experience of what works and doesn't work in various school districts. Our oldest daughter graduated from 4 high schools, our second from 3, and our last 2 from 2 high schools each. So I have lots of experience. I'll bring a different point of view to the board. I think a broader view, not so much Camdenton-centric, but a broader view of things I've seen over the time I was in the Army. And because I was in the Army, I got to give you a quote. General George S. Patton once said, "If everybody's thinking alike, then nobody's thinking." And I think I'll bring that point of view to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker by random draw will be Mr. Matt Burns.
My name is Matt Burns, and I want to echo Eric, his comments. I'd like to thank the Chamber and Lake TV and these gentlemen. It's not easy to put yourself out there, so thank you, men, for doing that. My background is in law enforcement and property disaster insurance, restoration, negotiating, and estimating. And I think those are relevant skills because when you work in law enforcement, you are immersed in policy. And what people need to understand is, or what I would ask you to understand is, policy is what governs the school. And I've got I believe, a great deal of experience in crafting policy, amending policy, reviewing policy. So all of the concerns that folks have out there, I think we can address those with good policy. And I've been to, I think, almost every school board meeting in the last year and a half, with the exception of the executive sessions. And I believe I can work well with the folks that are there or any of these men that are up here. I have been a parent in this district for 17 years. My son graduated here, and my daughter is in 3rd grade. So I think there's a lot of good things about the school and the school district, and there are concerns that I think can be addressed with good policy.
Thank you, Matt. Our final candidate with an opening statement will be Mr. Jacob Nushi.
Hi, again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming and all you guys that are tuning in to kind of be informed about what's going on at the school district and who's running for your board. So thank you for taking the time. I'm a Camdenton alumnus. I graduated from Camdenton. I did a lot that Camdenton had to offer. I played football. I did speech and debate. I got to get a lot out of the Camdenton School District. They invested in me as a student, and, this is my opportunity to invest back in the district that essentially helped mold me into the man that I am today. I am the proud husband of a Camdenton employee. She didn't know when we started dating in Drury University that she was going to work for the school, but, my long-term plan worked. I have one kid in the district, Taylor. She's a 1st grader. Luke is going to be in kindergarten starting next year. What I feel like I'm going to bring to the board is a little bit of financial background, financial knowledge. I'm a VP for a local bank. Keep most of my customers local. I've been in the lending industry here at Lake of the Ozarks for 15 years. I did a lot of financial underwriting when I worked at Central Bank, became a loan officer, and just kind of continued helping our business owners invest in the Lake of the Ozarks. So a lot of community connections out there that, I help invest in Lake of the Ozarks, and I just think it's an important factor that our community is, supportive of our school, and that's why a lot of people choose to go to school here is because of our close-knit community. I look at focusing on financials at the school. I look at focusing on staff communication, making sure that staff and stakeholder communication, making sure everyone has their avenues to feel respected and heard. And then finally, just looking for support structures for our teachers so that they, have what they need to supply our children with the best education.
Thank you very much, Jacob. We put a call out to the community for pertinent questions regarding this particular election. We had a great number of responses submitted and had to make some tough choices to pare it down in the interest of time. Candidates will each have 1 minute to respond, and we will rotate the speaking order each time. Starting with John on question number 1. What inspired you to want to become a board member? Is there a particular issue or a set of issues that motivated you to run for a seat on the Board of Education?
I've got a couple. One I have gone to a few of the school board meetings, and the great amount of school debt. It's at the February meeting. It came out. They briefed it was about $26.5 million in school debt. All of us pay taxes. 70% of my personal property taxes and my property taxes go to the school. I just want to make sure how are we managing that and what are we doing about it. I think the school needs a forensic audit to go through in detail of how they're spending their money and so that they can buy down that debt. Having spent time in the Army, we worked under the premise there is no more money. You get this amount of money and that's what it is. And if you want to spend money over here, you got to take it from somewhere else and walk that line so you don't spend more money and you don't go back to the taxpayers. I'm out of time, so I'll leave it with that.
Thank you very much. Moving down to Eric. What inspired you to want to become a board member? Is there a particular issue or a set of issues that motivated you to run for a seat on the Board of Education?
So mine's probably a little different than everybody else's since I'm rerunning here. But when I first initially got involved with the school board, I wanted to give back to the school as much as I possibly could. I was a child with a single parent, raised in a single income household, didn't have a whole lot of extra money to spend, relied heavily upon the school district for my extracurricular activities, for my anything that I was doing other than going to school. So whenever the opportunity came up that I could do something or possibly give something back, I took that opportunity.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Jacob. What inspired you to want to become a board member? Is there a particular issue or a set of issues that motivated you to run for a seat on the Board of Education?
Well, I mean, first off is, I feel like I have the financial background that the board kind of needs. What a lot of people aren't talking about is the current environment that we're going to find ourselves in here in the next couple of years and the rate of inflation that's already been occurring and is going to occur for quite a while now. If we don't watch the bills of the expenses, matching them with the revenues, that could be spell disaster for the school district. So I want to make sure that I give my kind of business mindset, my financial background to make sure that we kind of hedge this off, because it also leaks into our teachers, our staff, our stakeholders. When your teachers are spending a lot more on gas to come to work every day, that's money out of their pocket that they can't spend. So we got to make sure that overall with the school that we're just kind of addressing all those needs. I just feel like, again, communication. I want to make sure that we keep the communication lines open and make sure everyone has a fair and respected voice. And again, just provide our teachers for what they need.
And finally, Matt. What inspired you to want to be a board member? Is there a particular issue or set of issues that motivated you to run for a seat on the Board of Education?
Well, if you just take a look at what's going on around the country right now, I think it's pretty clear we've got a lot of concerns, not just here, but everywhere. And prior to the last election, it was basically an information blackout coming out of the school, out of the administration, and out of the school board. You couldn't get a whole lot of information. And I know this because I've tried to get that information as a parent. So we do need to have open communication, and we're making a lot of positive steps, and we need to continue that. And pick your topic. It doesn't matter what the concern is. All those things, I'm concerned about all of them, but especially right now, having a young daughter in school, how do we defend female sports? That's a big one right now. Is she going to lose future opportunities? I don't want that to happen. And I think, again, back to that policy issue, I think we can craft that good policy and fix a lot of these issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to question number 2, we'll be starting with Mr. Eric Walters. Eric, what are some of the strengths and weaknesses in our district? If elected, how would you work to highlight those strengths and address the areas of need?
Oh, man. So our strengths are our amazing faculty, our amazing staff. I'm not going to kid you. Camdenton has some of the best and some of the hardest workers that you'll find in any school districts. They're our backbone. They're everything. We need to do our best to keep them. Letting them get away is a huge problem that we're facing right now. And as a school board, we've been working on it here recently by coming up with more pay right now for our special ed paras, addressing different concerns. Now, so only got a minute here real quick. Communication. These guys have touched on a little bit. Communication has got to be a concern where we have to grow as a school district. Number 1, internal communication. Number 2, external communication. We have to do a better job about relaying information out to our staff. Number 2, we have to do a better job about relaying information out to our public and receiving information in from our public as we get the feedback.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to Jacob. What are some strengths and weaknesses in our district? If elected, how would you work to highlight those strengths and address the areas of need?
Again, I got to echo what Eric says, and a lot of times, a lot of us that go to church always talk about, hey, that the church isn't the building, the church is the people within the building, and so that's how I feel about the school. The school isn't the building. The school is the teacher, the staff, the administration, the children, all of that. That is our school. And I think we have amazing teachers. I'm a product of those teachers, and I feel like they did a good job. Maybe someone else thinks they don't, but I do. So I feel like, we need to support them. They're dealing with a wide range of educational levels in their classrooms. And so to listen to them and hear the support that they need for providing remediation and enrichment is also going to be key. One of the troubling things that's going to be happening, again, as I mentioned a little bit, inflation. The cost of doing anything is going to be going up more. And so we need to make sure that we're tailing our revenues to watch out to make sure we're covering our expenses. So I really think that's something that's going to need to be watched on the next 5 to 10 years.
Thank you very much. Next up, Matt Burns. What are some of the strengths and weaknesses in our district? If elected, how would you work to highlight those strengths and address the areas of need?
Well, the strengths are the people of the district, the parents, the people that work in the district, the students. Those are our strengths. And I go out into the community a lot. I attend a lot of events, so I will continue to do that. The weaknesses have been inadequate leadership, in my personal opinion, at the upper levels. Now, we're seeing some improvements there, and that's good, and we need to work to continue those improvements. So that's how I would answer that question, and I think I can work with any of these men or any of the folks on the existing school board.
Thank you very much. And finally, John Seward. What are some strengths and weaknesses in our district? If elected, how would you work to highlight those strengths and address the areas of need?
Well, I have to echo on the teachers and staff. They're unbelievable. I get a chance. Because there's so many grandchildren in the school. I'm in the schools, almost all the buildings, almost every week, at least 1 or 2 of them. I think the school has very competitive pay and for teachers and paraprofessionals. That's something the board's been working on, and they've done a great job. And each of the schools do a great outreach program to the parents and their families to get them integrated with what's happening in the school. If there was one thing I think that's an issue is curriculum changes. The special education, I've been told the special education curriculum, reading curriculums changed 4 times in 6 years. So you've got teachers that are working very hard all day long trying to manage their classrooms, manage the time with limited resources, while they're trying to learn a new curriculum over and over and over again and teach it to the students. I think that's something that needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This next question is a little bit longer than the rest, so bear with me, and if I need to repeat it, I'll be glad to do so. Jacob will be starting us off on this one. Teachers across the country are leaving the profession through early retirement, career changes, or never even considering a career in education in the first place. What would you say to a current teacher in our district who might be considering a different path, or to recruit a prospective teacher considering working in our district?
All right. I think one of the things that is the factor for a lot of people, first off, is pay. Well, Camden has some of the best pay around when it comes to our teachers and our career ladder and all the things that we offer our teachers. So I think pay is one thing. But I think what our teachers are looking at more than pay, because that'll kind of get them in the door, but how do we keep them in the door, and how do we keep them, reinvesting as we grow them back into our community and staying with us? Retirement age used to be 30, 40 years of education. Now it's 25. What I say here is we got to create a culture around them where they are able to enact change, not only in their classroom, but at the district. And I think that includes using the teacher organizations to make sure that their voice is heard, provide them with additional training, and essentially just give a culture that teachers are really, really looking for and really, really anxious about in today's environment. So that's kind of how I would keep them in.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Mr. Matt Burns. Teachers across the country are leaving the profession through early retirement, career changes, or never even considering a career in education in the first place. What would you say to a current teacher in our district who might be considering a different path, or to recruit a prospective teacher considering working in our district?
Well, I would say don't go. We need you, and change is underway. And I would disagree with Jacob slightly, respectfully, of course. I think the teachers are underpaid. I think they've been underpaid for a really long time. Now we are working to make some improvements, and that's a good thing. But I've talked to several that have to work a second job just to pay their mortgage. So we have to prioritize getting those folks paid. And we have to also locate the wasteful spending practices of the district. For example, at the last school board meeting, we learned that there is a program called Go Caps, and we pay for 37 positions in this program. We only use 6 of those positions, so we've got 31 spots, and the cost is $2,200 per position. So what is that? That's almost $70,000 that we're wasting. That can go towards hiring teachers and raising their pay. And there's lots of programs like that. So that's what we need to look at. And I think those are things that we can do to help keep them here and also create a good environment. I know I'm out of time, so I'll cut it off.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. John, teachers across the country are leaving the profession through early retirement, career changes, or never even considering a career in education in the first place. What would you say to a current teacher in our district who might be considering a different path, or to recruit a prospective teacher considering working in our district?
Well, I would tell them not to leave. They do a critical mission for us, and it's very important in the instructional and teaching of our children. I think we do have competitive pay compared to other districts in the state. Our parapay, the board just passed an increase in parapay. Again, I have 2 daughters teaching. My daughter said her para is getting $7 more an hour, and they're worth it. And glad the board is moving that direction. The Career Ladder is a great program where they can receive bonuses. It starts at year 5. I would suggest starting it at first year and maybe stepping them up to where they go to 5 years, and it goes up to 10. Provide all the professional development they need, provide them resources and time. Some of the changes that have come out, their planning time's now protected. They came out in the Missouri School Improvement Program 6 from the state. Their planning time's protected. It's given them some stuff. It's very good. I would also suggest a town hall with the teachers. I think there's a lot of fear of teachers speaking up because they're afraid of retaliation. There has to be some way, a venue to be able to do that so they can bring those issues forward without attribution and make changes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, Eric, teachers across the country are leaving the profession through early retirement, career changes, or never even considering a career in education in the first place. What would you say to a current teacher in our district who might be considering a different path, or to recruit a prospective teacher considering working in our district?
So when I got on the board last year, or 3 years ago for my first term, I was lucky enough to inherit our goal, which was to be in the top 10% of the state in teacher pay. We've continued to strive for that goal. we, as the other gentleman mentioned, we offer Career Ladder, which is an amazing extra bonus that our district does that a lot of districts don't, even though the state's kind of going that direction, trying to lead to that, to bring in new teacher recruits. We offer full health insurance benefits. Not every field out there offers that. But I think the thing we need to address is the teachers' frustration right now. Teachers are getting out of the field right now because of social media, because they're being attacked everywhere they look on social media. We as a community need to come together and communicate with the teacher. We need to ask them what's wrong rather than going on social media and blasting that teacher and telling everybody else what we think is wrong with that.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next question, Matt Burns will lead us off on this one. Matt, what issues do you believe our district needs to address in its academic program and offerings? What changes would you recommend?
Well, our scores have been in a decline for quite some time, and a lot of the folks, and myself included, think we are overly reliant on online curriculum, virtual learning platforms. I think we need to have a bit of a balance there. And I know that from my own personal experience and the use of iReady with my daughter, she doesn't get much out of that. We experienced that a lot during the lockdowns. And I'm told, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm told that some people in the upper levels receive a stipend for the use of that program. If that's true, that probably makes it even more problematic. So I think we need to look at having more of a balance and maybe also more field trips, get the kids out of the classrooms a little bit. We've got a big farming community here. Let's get them involved in the farming practices here and use some of our great locals here. I think that would go a long way to solving a lot of these issues.
Thank you very much. John, what issues do you believe our district needs to address in its academic program and offerings? What changes would you recommend?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, some of the issues I have, I think the student-to-teacher ratios in the classrooms, the teachers are really overwhelmed on a day basis. I think they tend to lean toward the online learning, and they get pushed that direction. iReady, I think, is like 90 minutes a week, 2 45-minute sessions of math and English. But I think the current board, in the last few board meetings, has made a move to try to rectify some of that. The teachers are so busy in the classroom; they have over a number of students. The board is hiring additional teachers. They're going to spread some of that out. And the curriculum changes is another issue that needs to be addressed. They need to find a curriculum and stick with it so the teachers can learn it, get the professional development they need to do it, and then execute it.
Mr. Eric Walters, what issues do you believe our district needs to address in its academic program and offerings? What changes would you recommend?
So I feel like we have addressed this issue in the past 3 years. We were having some lower scores in reading and math, and we've changed the math curriculum around in the last few years, and now we're kind of seeing the benefits of it. Our scores in our earlier elementary schools this year dramatically increased in both reading and in math this year, and I think that that's showing that we're on the rise, that we're starting to adapt to this new curriculum. As John said, if you keep changing it, everybody can get used to it. I mean, if we can stick with it for a little while, we're going to grow this stuff. The other thing I think we really need to do is reevaluate different programs, maybe get stuff on a cycle. Matt pointed out GoCaps, for instance. Yeah, absolutely. We need to reevaluate, see if that is a need for our school district. We need to reevaluate other programs, like I say, get on a rotation, a cycle, where we can see if this stuff is needed or not needed. If it's not needed, go by the wayside and we can move on to something else.
Thank you very much. And finally, Jacob, what issues do you believe our district needs to address in its academic program and offerings? What changes would you recommend?
All right. Again, I think that the school has made a step in moving toward the right direction. They look to adopt MSIP 6. They not just the bare minimum standards. They want to be under the recommended standards. So that's why you see a lot of our teachers coming in here, and good thing we have facilities for them to go to. And that all goes into your student-teacher ratios. The more time with teacher, as I'll call it, the better I feel like their education is going to be. We need to, I think, survey our teachers and keep surveying them, see what's working, what's not working. We can't do it on an annual basis. We need to continually be kind of getting with our teachers, getting their feedback, what's working, what's not working, what's raising scores. I think that and look at what support that they need, because they're the ones on the front lines. And so I feel like the information they can provide us and what's working and what's not working and what support we could offer them as a board would be probably the best thing that we could do, is just listen to our educators.
Thank you very much. We're on to question number 5, and John will lead us off again. Schools are challenged with providing a quality education for a population of diverse learners. For example, the gifted and talented, average learners, special education students, English as a second language, or those with other academic challenges. How does a school ensure the needs of all types of students are being met?
Well, I think the schools do pretty good. They do run both programs. They have a robotics program for those kids. There is a capstone class for the gifted and talented. It's a very robust special ed department. I think they do very well on those things. In special ed, again, both of my daughters teach special ed, so I get a lot of feedback from them. I think the programs and things they need to do and stuff they've talked about is the curriculum, getting a set standard of things for the students and working through those. Thanks.
Moving on to Eric. Schools are challenged with providing a quality education for a population of diverse learners. For example, the gifted and talented, average learners, special education, English as a second language, or those with other academic challenges. How does a school ensure the needs of all types of students are being met?
Oh, man, this is a great question. I feel like our school does a great job already of doing this. We have, like John said, many different programs out there. We have our special needs programs. We have our advanced learning programs, our capstone program. We have our LCTC. I mean, that right there is such a broad diversity of different learning networks for individuals. I mean, it's not anymore. Do you have to go to college or go to a 2-year school right outside of high school? Like, we can have you prepared and ready to go to work the day after you graduate in our own community through our LCTC and through the partnerships we have with our community. So I feel like continuing that kind of networking and that kind of those kind of activities will lead us in the right direction.
Thank you very much. Jacob. Schools are challenged with providing a quality education for a population of diverse learners. For example, the gifted and talented, average learners, special education, English as a second language, or those with other academic challenges. How does a school ensure the needs of all types of students are being met?
Well, again, just echoing what the other people say, other candidates have said. I think we do a great job of that with our special ed department, our capstone. I would like to see how can we affect those kids in the middle, maybe get them higher. Because a lot of times we're focusing on the enrichment of the capstone kids. We're focusing on the remediation of the lower kids. And I feel like the kids that are just kind of going by can kind of get lost in the middle as we focus on all of those other groups. So the programs that we can listen to our teachers to say, hey, how can we affect these kids in the middle that are doing just fine but could be doing better? Because that's a large group of kids when you look in a bell curve that we could affect that overall will raise our scores. Now, I think part of that goes into communication. We need to be surveying our parents, saying, hey, how is the school doing? How are we affecting your kid? Are their needs being met? So I think by surveying parents, making sure the teachers have, the ability to communicate what they really need without, feeling like that they're bothersome or any type of retaliation, I feel will lead to us addressing a lot of those issues that we already still kind of do.
Thank you very much. And Matt, schools are challenged with providing a quality education for a population of diverse learners. For example, the gifted and talented, average learners, special education, English as a second language, or those with other academic challenges. How does a school ensure the needs of all types of students are being met?
Well, you have to hire good people. That's where it starts, and that's what the school board is tasked to do. They have to go recruit, work with the administration and recruit good people, make sure that we're hiring good people, and make sure that we're retaining those good people. So we can highlight those programs that we do well and then try to identify the problems that we do have and work to fix those. We receive, I think it's Title I funding that covers a lot of those types of things. And what do we do with that funding? Are we managing those funds well to make sure that we're hiring enough people so that we can ensure that success that we're looking for? So really that's the role of the school board. And let's get parents more involved, whether it's surveys, whether it's just having that open communication with them. Let's get them more involved, because after all, it is our kids in the school, and we need to focus, yes, on teachers. They're very important, but also so are parents. So let's not forget about those parents out there.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next question, Eric Walters will lead us off. As a department of the Camdenton High School, Horizons Laker Educational Center provides alternative learning opportunities to meet the distinct needs of high school students in our district. What can the Board of Education do to allow Horizons to continue to inspire and empower a diverse student population to earn a high school diploma in a non-traditional setting?
Well, for starters, we just got to continue supporting the program. Right now, Horizons is we are inheriting a lot of students from a layoff that we had over a year and a half ago, whenever we took basically almost a half a semester off of school. And in the return to school, we've saw that a lot of kids were a little more behind than normal. And the learning environment at Horizons supports that type of atmosphere where those kids can get caught up and can continue to learn at their levels. We got to continue to support that environment, whether it's growing the school if it needs to, adding extra room, extra space, extra teachers there. We just have to continue to support that environment. That is a huge necessity for our community.
Jacob, as a department of Camdenton High School, Horizons Laker Educational Center provides alternative learning opportunities to meet distinct needs of high school students in our district. What can the Board of Education do to allow Horizons to continue to inspire and empower a diverse student population to earn a high school diploma in a non-traditional setting?
You know, Horizons really has a special place in my heart because my best friend actually graduated through the Horizons program kind of in its infancy. So to see my best friend who just did not fit well within the traditional settings of the high school be able to walk at graduation with me, who was better equipped at the traditional high school, is something that you can't thank that school enough for. So I think that, one, continuing to fund it, make sure that we're monitoring how things are going. I think early detection is also identifying the kids before they get to high school that might be better suited for the Horizon schools would also kind of help get them started in that early so they're not playing catch up as much. So I feel like if we continue to monitor how they're doing, how many kids, what are the class sizes, how is that working, ask a lot of questions and get the feedback from the staff and the administrators over there of what they need, I feel like we can identify these kids even earlier and make sure that they get what they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt, as a department of Camdenton High School, Horizons Laker Educational Center provides alternative learning opportunities to meet distinct needs of high school students in our district. What can the Board of Education do to allow Horizons to continue to inspire and empower a diverse student population to earn a high school diploma in a non-traditional setting?
I've talked to some of the folks that work at Horizons, and they feel like they've been overwhelmed. It may be getting a little bit better now, but they really took the brunt of the storm during the lockdowns, during the masking that occurred. They need more help. We got to get those student-teacher ratios down. We've got to hire good folks to help them. So that's really the best thing that we can do. I feel like they somewhat get neglected a little bit. They almost never get talked about. So we need to bring them into the conversation a little bit more and be a little bit more concerned about what's going on over there, because the students that struggle, they were hurt badly by the lockdowns, more so than any of us, and they really need the help. We need to give them a lot of focus, I think, and I'm almost out of time. So.
Thank you very much, Sean. As the Department of Camden High School, Horizons Laker Educational Center provides an alternative learning opportunities to meet the distinct needs of high school students in our district. What can the Board of Education do to allow Horizons to continue to inspire and empower a diverse student population to earn a high school diploma in a non-traditional setting?
Well, I think they do get neglected. I've met some of the kids that graduate from there over time at various things and talked to them. They're off campus, so it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. It's over on another part of town. But I think you have, like everyone said, we have to continue to support that program. Focus on them. Hire good teachers. Get the best teachers. Get the teacher to student ratio down. Take time, talk to their parents, find out what they're thinking, and get some feedback from that. The staff, talk to the students. Are we meeting their needs? And getting that feedback, and then collectively putting that together to feed back into the program. But bottom line, we got to resource it and we got to support it. Thank you.
Very good. We have time for more? All right, we'll continue on, gentlemen, if that's all right with you. So that means Jacob will lead us off on this one. What do you believe your role as a board member would be in regards to teacher management, support, and accountability?
All right, so what the school board is there is we're there to make sure the administrators are doing their job and the superintendents. The superintendents are the ones that have the degrees, the doctorates, and how to operate a school and how to manage their teachers. I am not there to go in and watch the teachers and write notes and take notes. We're there to oversee the financial side of the school, make sure the administrations are doing their job by goals that the board has set for them through our strategic plan. And so as long as we're meeting our goals in our strategic plan and the administrators are doing their job, I believe that that's where the teacher management comes in, is that they're doing it. That's what they're paid to do. And we have to make sure that we have administrators that we trust and that show results in the job that they are doing. So that, to me, is what the school board's job is on teacher management.
Matt Burns, what do you believe your role as a board member would be in regards to teacher management, support, and accountability?
School board has no role in teacher management. Our job is to set policy and goals and make sure that the administration meets those goals and make sure that they enforce the policy effectively and fairly. The teacher management, that comes from your administrators, your principals. If we have to get involved in day-to-day operations, day-to-day teacher management, then something is really wrong and we would need to make changes in the administration. So I don't think we need to be doing that, and I think we need to just recognize what the role of the school board is, and that really is setting those goals and crafting good policies so that we can be successful.
Thank you very much. John, what do you believe your role as a board member would be in regards to teacher management, support, and accountability?
Well, again, I don't think we have a role in teacher management. The board is an oversight of the school district. It oversights the administration. They're involved in hiring, in firing, in admin of that. We have a very strong plug in the budget and how the finances get spent. As far as being good stewards of the money for the taxpayers and the people of our community. I think the policies come from the board. New programs that might want to be introduced, they get presented to the board and they'll vote yes, no. Again, it has to all be done within what is the budget and what they can do from that. I think as long as the administration, we've hired good administrators and they're doing what we've put on them to do, and they're driving the train. They manage the day-to-day operations of the school district. They're the educators. They have the experience, and we just manage the oversight.
Thank you very much. And Eric, what do you believe your role as a board member would be in regards to teacher management, support, and accountability?
Just like these other three gentlemen have already said, our job as board members isn't to manage over those people. Our job is to create policy and allow administration to enforce that policy. And then our job is to evaluate the administration. You know, if they're doing the job of enforcing that policy, our job should be to make sure that the teachers have the tools that they need. Like we've said a few times here this evening, make sure that the professional development's there, the curriculum's there, the support's there for them, and let them go. That's all.
Thank you very much. And this will be our final question of the evening. Matt Burns will lead us off. How does social media impact the school operation and success? What changes could be made in this regard?
I don't know that you can affect any change on social media. Social media is here to stay. We're just going to have to embrace it and work with it. Obviously, you don't want the ugliness and the nastiness, but that's part of it. And we want to try to be mindful of that, mindful of how that affects people, and reach out to parents whenever they have a concern and point them in the right direction rather than let it go on and fester and balloon into a big problem on social media. You don't want to do that. So I think it's important to reach out to those folks who are concerned and get them in the right direction so that you can help alleviate some of that concern, because we don't want people, look, nobody wants to be the brunt of the storm on social media, not at all. So I think we need to just embrace that and look at tackling that head on, and I think we can make some good changes there if we do.
Thank you very much. John, how does social media impact the school operation and success? What changes could be made in this regard?
Well, social media is there, and there are people out there that light their hair on fire and dance around and throw daggers, flames, all sorts of things. I've been attacked on social media because I said we have great teachers in the school, and oh no, we don't. No. So, but I think the school does some good things. They have a text message system on snow days and things like that, and I think that just came out this year. It's unbelievable. You get a text message on your phone saying, hey, there's a snow day. It's not an AMI day or whatever. It comes across that, and it also comes across the official district webpage. I think that's where stuff needs to come from the school district, is on the webpage, not over social media, or it can be taken any direction, but it needs to come off the official webpage. Thanks.
Very good. Eric, how does social media impact school operation and success? What changes could be made in this regard?
As I've said before, we have an amazing school district, but one of the few things I don't feel like we do well enough is communicate. And by leaving parents, by leaving community members in the dark on situations, it creates that cluster that the only way that they know to get it out is to go to social media. And I believe that the more we communicate with individuals, with parents, with members of the public, with the community, is to will alleviate a lot of that. A lot of ways we can do that is, like Matt said, we can get the parents more involved. By getting parents more involved in some of these groups, I think that can only help our communication with the public and leave them less in the dark in these situations.
Very good. And Jacob, how does social media impact the school operation and success? What changes could be made in this regard?
Again, what I hate to think about it is social media taking over face-to-face communication, actually talking to people. I feel like we need to look at setting up proper channels of communication and make sure that people are feeling heard and respected and not neglected. And if we can improve our communication process with parents, with stakeholders, that if they know that they can feel heard and that their communication is being used to make decisions, or at least heard, that maybe they're less likely to go to social media, especially about the bad things. I love social media. It's a double-edged sword. For everything that's good, it is great. You get out there and we see who's doing well in sports, who's doing well in robotics, who's doing that. We get to share in all the joy, but along with that comes the bad. And so what I'd like to do is make sure that parents, stakeholders understand that there's other avenues that they can do to kind of effectively communicate. So I just don't want to see social media taking the place of other forms of communication.
Thank you very much. That concludes our question and answer portion of the evening, and we will now give each candidate an opportunity to make a closing statement of up to 2 minutes. We will go in reverse order of the opening statements, and again, please be aware of the timekeeper. Jacob Nushi.
All right, you ready? Alrighty. You know, when I first started looking at running for school board and I started talking to people, one of the first questions that was asked of me is, what side am I on? Well, the answer to that question is, I'm on the kids, I'm on the teachers, or I'm on stakeholders. But that's not what they were getting at. I think what we need to look at is the question that we should be asking ourselves is, who's going to support the kids? Who's going to support the parents' rights when it comes to the education of their kids? There's no divide when it comes to trying to do what's best for our kids. And we need to look at how we communicate, how we are transparent, and how we respect the rights of every issue, because I don't care what the issue is, there are people all around that issue. There are people the north, the south, the east, and the west, and they need to make sure that all of those directions are heard and that it's safe to hear. I want to make sure that our teachers don't feel afraid, whether it's on any school board or anything. I want the people to know that I'm here to lend my business mindset to the school board, my financial background, how I've worked within the community as planning and zoning administrator for years. I worked with the Lake of the Ozarks Regional Economic Development Committee Council for years. I'm part of this community. I am a Laker alum. I chose to come back and live here and raise my family because I love this area. And this school, I am a product of it, and I am proud to be a Laker. And I want my children to be proud Lakers as well. My wife's a proud employee of the school and is very, very thankful for the opportunities that she's had. So I just want want the voters to know that I would appreciate their vote on April 5th, and I appreciate my time here. And thank you all, gentlemen and Casey, for putting this on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker will be Mr. Matt Burns. You have 2 minutes, sir.
I'm running to represent everybody in this district, but especially the parents, because I feel like they've been left out for a long, long time. Now, that is getting better. You're seeing a lot more open communication at the board meetings. For the longest time, it was very, very rigid. People were afraid to really speak their mind or speak out about a concern that they had. That has improved greatly. We've made a lot of great strides in those areas, and we need to highlight those. And I'll harken back to my experience in policy creation, which is one of the most important, if not the most important role of the school board. I have revamped entire police department policies. I have reviewed a lot of policy. I've amended a lot of policy. That is what governs the school. All of the concerns that we have surrounding public education, that is where you must go to solve these problems. You have to bring people in, figure out what those concerns are, and write good policy, because that is what operates the school. So I would just ask folks out there, I'm willing to help you. I'm willing to help create that good policy, and I'm willing to help advocate at the state and with our federal lawmakers. I know many of them. I can advocate for things that we need right here locally, not these generalized policies that come from MSBA. They are administered out across the entire state. They're not effective here, I don't believe, many of them. We need them custom made for this area. And those are the things that I can do to help you. So if I would be blessed to serve you if you see fit. So I would ask you to vote for me, Matt Burns, on April 5th. And thank you. And thank all of you people for putting this event on.
Thank you, Matt. Our next speaker will be Mr. John Seward.
I look at the school board and education as a four-legged chair, and these guys have heard this before, but the four legs are the students, the teachers, the parents, and the administration. And I think that each of those legs have to be addressed with equal enthusiasm. You have to listen to those people. You have to get input from those folks, and you have to spend the effort on all four. If you're not listening to your parents and that leg gets too short, the chair's unstable and it topples over. and you don't have a good school district. If you spend too much effort, focus in another direction, maybe just in the administration, and you're neglecting the administration leg gets too long, the chair's unstable, and it topples over. But as I mentioned, I served the nation for 42 years in the Army. My last job in the Army, I was a Deputy Commanding General of U.S. Army Pacific, and I was personally responsible for the daily oversight of 150,000 soldiers, family members, and civilians in 5 countries, and the daily management of a $452 million budget. So I have a vast experience working in large organizations with large budgets. I also have a lot of experience working with diverse people, diverse organizations, different opinions, different groups, and molding them and pulling them together as a team to accomplish task and mission. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a combat veteran. I am a conservative. And I have a vested interest in this community and want to see the education of our children go to great heights. I want to thank you for inviting us, and I also want to thank these 3 gentlemen for running. You know, they stood up and stepped forward to say, hey, I want to be on the school board. And each one of us looks at it a different way, but each one of us wants what's best for the parents, the teachers, the students, and in our school district. We all want that, and I thank you for that. Thanks.
Thank you. And to wrap things up for our closing statement, Mr. Eric Walters, you have 2 minutes, sir.
Once again, just like all 3 of these gentlemen said, I think we all want what's best for the kids in our own minds at some point here. Make no mistake about it, this is a very important election. We're in a time of transition right now in the Camden R3 School District. On a normal year, we have anywhere between 10 to 15 retirees. I think at one point so far this year, we've had 47 individuals that are either leaving the district or retiring from teaching altogether. Those are huge numbers. We have to stop that trend. We have to keep our teachers that we have. We have to be able to recruit teachers that are out there that are willing to come to our district. By doing that, we have to show them that we're not a divided community. This election is about uniting this community back together. And I feel like the only way we're going to do that is through stronger forms of communication and getting our public more involved, whether that be our teachers, whether that be community members. We need to work together. Other than that, I think that our kids are getting an amazing education here in Camdenton, and that we need to continue that process of giving them what education we have given them so far, and continue to build on that. Thank you.
This concludes our 2022 Camdenton R3 School Board Meet the Candidates Forum. Thank you to Lake TV, the Lake Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Camdenton Area Chamber of Commerce for all their efforts producing the forums in this election cycle. This valuable service to the voters of our communities would not have happened without the selfless efforts of so many folks. Also, thank you, gentlemen, for your willingness not only to join us this evening to let the voters hear directly from you, but for your willingness to put your name on the line in an effort to serve your fellow citizens. Thank you all who tuned in tonight, and make sure you have your voice heard on April 5th. Godspeed, everyone. Good night.
Hey, Jess.
Yeah, Nicole, what do you need?
Did you see that new listing in Sunrise Beach?
Yeah, it was just listed 2 minutes ago.
It has 150 feet of lakefront. And a brand new kitchen.
I'm headed out there after I type this email.
I'm on the phone with my clients. Hey, where are you going?
I already put an offer in, cash above list, and it's looking good.
Are you kidding me?